Honestly, I could just say Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was peak and that would be the end of the video. That's it. That's all there is to say. You might not have guessed this, but fun fact about me, I am a bit of a Sonic fan. I know, this is all very shocking news, but it's true. I've been a fan of Sonic since I was a child.
Sonic got through Act 1.
Sonic got through. You know what? I feel that.
Continued on through my middle school years and some of high school.
I don't know why I gave them all bangs. For some reason, I gave them all bangs and I gave them all clothes. Like, Super Sonic, but in jeans.
Uh-huh. We can move on.
This is broken.
Okay. Let's get a real good look at this one.
That's how you can tell he's sad. He's not running.
Oh. He's not sad anymore.
It's because he's running.
It's because he's running.
There's a bush in the background to show that he's running outside.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What is this? No. No, we're not doing it.
Are you sure?
Cut the cameras.
Are you sure?
Cut the cameras. We're done.
It wasn't until I got to college I was like, you know what? Let's put this on the back burner because, like, I like Sonic, but I'm not like that crazy about Sonic anymore. Like, it's not that big of a deal. That is until I, like many others, experienced a life-changing traumatic event, such as, I don't know, a global pandemic that resulted in the return to things that I enjoyed in my adolescence that I never stopped enjoying, but now I decided I'm going to enjoy loudly with fierce fervor because life is short, so I might as well live my life. And if it's cringe, well, you know what? At least I'm free. All that to say, I love Sonic the Hedgehog, okay? So you can imagine the news back in the day when they announced that they were making a Sonic live action movie, which I wasn't necessarily excited for because I found that anytime people make live action remakes of properties or franchises that deal with sort of animated characters in an animated medium, it's never achieved well. And that was to be the case, especially when they dropped that first trailer for the first Sonic movie. You might remember this. The internet was in an absolute uproar by how terrifying the initial Sonic design was. Like, oh my god, burn it with fire, please. Paramount took this and said, okay, we hear you, we gonna fix it, and they did. It gave Sonic a much better redesign, and everyone's like, okay, thank you. And it's just like, you see, this is what happens when you listen to the fans. You get good stuff, which I love to this day. I think that's still one of the funniest things that could have ever accomplished from the internet. Like, you know what? Maybe bullying is okay. Although I would not be surprised if the entire thing was just a marketing ploy. Like, I don't know what intern pitched it, but I hope to God that they got their check because you know what? Yeah, you did that. The first Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out, and in my opinion, I think it was fine. I think it was cute. I think it was a good introduction to Sonic in like this realm of him living on Earth as opposed to Mobius. And then Sonic 2 came out, and I'm not gonna lie, the last time I found a sequel to be better than his predecessor was Princess Diaries 2. I fear Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is also up there with her because this movie was so good. I remember being in the theater having a great time because of how much lore was coherent with the canonical Sonic lore that we have in the games. And I'm like, oh my god, this is great. This is what happens when you read the source material. But then what really had me just like, oh my god, maybe this is the right timeline that I'm living in, was that end credit cutscene when they showed us Shadow the Hedgehog. I lost my mind. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's my boy. That's my son. I was so ready. I was so excited. I'm like, this is gonna be it. I was a little nervous because I love Shadow. I love his story. I love him. That's my son. I need them to treat him well. And I was a little worried, but I've now seen the movie twice. And I'm like, you know what? I fear this is excellence. And that's essentially what this video is I'm just gonna gab about Sonic 3 because like I cannot stop thinking about it and I need to get this energy out somewhere. So congratulations, that's what this is. I think one of my favorite things about the Sonic movies is how they absolutely pay an homage to the original source material in regards to like the lore and the games. While the plot and the premise is still different to what it's based off of, it still has the heart of it because Sonic 3 is based off of Sonic Adventure 2, which is the story that introduces us to Shadow's character for the first time. Obviously, there's a lot of differences. One being there's characters that have a role in the game that aren't in the movie. There's differences in how things go down. Like the Ark, for example, is not a space colony just sort of orbiting the planet. Instead, it's a base that's on Earth. Aside from all that, they still do a good job of keeping the main plot and revolving around the game and translating it into this third movie. So I am, unfortunately, going to talk spoilers because there are some things that I just need to like I love it, but like if you haven't seen the movie, I don't want you to like have it spoiled. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would implore you to go see it, especially if you are a Sonic fan, because I personally think it is good. It's great. It's fun. Like, that's the thing about the Sonic movies is like, they're just so fun. They're so fun. And I think that's just what Sonic is. Like, Sonic, yes, there's like an underlying message to everything, but like, it's fun. It's silly. It's great. It's just, you turn your brain off and you just watch this blue hedgehog say dumb shit, run around and save the world. It's great. It's fun. I love it. So see it. If you haven't, it's good. Anyways, when I watched this movie the first time, my favorite thing to do was the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Leonardo DiCaprio point. Anytime there was a reference, being like, oh my God! Like, that's always gonna be my favorite thing to do, regardless of anything that I'm watching, is to be like, oh, I understand that reference. So when the movie opened up with Maria strumming the Live and Learn theme on her guitar, I knew this was gonna be great. I knew I was witnessing history in the making. There's just so many fun references that they threw in from the games in it, man. Like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, they do a race. When Sonic wins the race, he spins the goal sign, which is how it does in the games. Love that. There's the freaking plane reference from literally the opening cutscene in Sonic Adventure 2, where he's like, talk about low budget flights. I looked at my sister, I was like, he said the line! And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And even then when they're coming out of the plane, they do their little like Sonic Heroes team formation, where like Tails is like the wings and he's holding on to Sonic, and Knuckles is about like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, that's like this. Ah! When Team Hero squares up with Shadow and they lose, there's so many references to the Shadow game trailer. Like the one scene where like, it's literally bar for bar. At the end of the trailer, Sonic collapses and behind him is Shadow, who like, I think walks away. I was like, oh my God, I know what that is. And then obviously there's Shadow with the motorcycle and the gun, which is, this is so like, yes. Honestly, that whole chase scene through Tokyo was so dope. Like, the banter between Sonic and Shadow was excellent. It was really cool to see how his chaos energy can amplify the machines that he's with, which I thought was an interesting take. Obviously, there was the freaking Akira slide. Are you freaking kidding me? When they're in the Chow Garden and Tails is like, this is the safest place to be at. In the background, you can kind of see, I think they're called Chaos Drives, because I just got the Sonic Shadow Generations. It was on sale for like $40. And in it, there's like a little notebook of like Gerald Robotnik's diary, and he talks about the little shards in tubes, and they look like the shard tubes that you get when you play Sonic Adventure 2, and then you can like feed to your Chow to give them like level ups. I think that's what that is, and that's what it's referring to. I don't know if that's what those things are called, but they look like those things. So I'm saying that those are the things and the things and the thing. Yes. The monster that Sonic and Shadow have to fight as the endgame battle on the arc is the monster in the monster movie that Shadow and Maria are watching. Oh my God, Maria. Oh, I'm gonna get to that. There's at some point, I think Sonic calls Shadow Hot Topic, which could just be Sonic being Sonic and then just wanting to write some quirky little banter. Sure. But to me, I personally feel like that is a Snap Cube dub reference. I love the Snap Cube dub. It's so funny. It's one of my favorite things. My favorite Snap Cube is the Shadow the Hedgehog playthrough, because I think it's so funny. I actually, fun fact, I went to Anime Expo last year and I got to meet the guy who does Shadow's voice in the Snap Cube dub. He signed my poster. Hi, Ryan. Speaking of internet culture references, again, this is just like one of those fun things. When Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles meet with Eggman to try to figure out what's going on, Eggman is watching a telenovela, and I think in the Knuckles little miniseries that was out earlier last year, I didn't finish watching that, mainly because I had a hard time finding the show to watch online. I think in that show, Knuckles also watches the telenovela, so I think it's just like a running bit within the Sonic universe. But Shadow watches a little bit of the telenovela when he's waiting in the crab with Agent Stone, and he's all like, I should just kill both of them. She's not a prize to be won, which I feel like is a fun little poke at the internet meme where Shadow loves Latinas. Like, I love it. I think it's fun. I think it's so funny. And also, he's so real. Like, yes, she's not a prize to be won. Like, period. I noticed it the second time I went to go see the movie. When the Robotniks are in the Eclipse canon, they get a new fit, finally. And Eggman's fit looks like his canonical fit. I was like, oh my God, finally! Because we haven't seen it yet. Live and learn. I've seen so many memes where people are like, oh my God, this movie is so good. And then slowly Live and Learn plays in the background, and it's like, ah! Which it was just the way, the buildup was so excellent. You have Sonic and Shadow having this really touching moment, and then you hear Live and Learn playing. And then they go and they do their little supersonic dap up, which is another reference to Sonic Adventure 2. And it's just so Yes. They do their little splash pose, which is great. And then, oh my god, Shadow takes off his inhibitor rings, which is a reference to Sonic X, which is my favorite reference that I love to pull out at parties all the time. The idea of Shadow taking off his rings to unleash his like full power wasn't a concept until Sonic X. Nothing from Sonic X is canonical to the Sonic lore, except that. Sega saw that and said, you know what? You kind of ain't with that. Yeah. I could have just completely lied to you, but I'm pretty sure that's to my knowledge. I might have been missing some things, but like that's to my knowledge at least. And then I thought what was really sweet is the switch up they did on Eggman's live stream, because like when he gets to the Ark, he makes basically a threat to the world like, make me your supreme leader, I will blow you all up. And then he blows up the moon, which is another reference that they did. Ugh, love that. So fun being a Sonic fan. Like you're never not gonna have a great time unless you're on a weird part of the internet that's having a bad time. But for the most part, I'm having a great time. Those are all the references that I could find when I was watching the movies. By all means, there might be more that I just couldn't catch. I think one of my favorite things about the movie were the parallels between Sonic and Shadow, because if there's one thing I like, it's a good parallel. I like a good symbolism. I like a good relation between two beings, two characters, two icons, you know? The first thing that stuck out to me was how everything I believe was happening all at the same time. The movie opens up with Shadow waking up from being in stasis for 50 years. And at the same time, we have Sonic celebrating his birthday. Earth Day. Oh my god, it's both of their births. Like one's being rebirth and one's celebrating birth. Like, oh my god. That's crazy. I don't even know if that makes sense, but whatever. There's also the similarities in Tom and Maria, and we see this explicitly in the movie when Shadow punches who he thinks is Commander Walter with chaos energy, but it ends up being Tom, and then Shadow sort of like sees himself in Sonic when Sonic is like freaking out over Tom, making sure that he's not dead. He's already lost one parental figure, he doesn't want to lose another, which apparently the streets are saying that in the Spanish dub, Sonic calls Tom Dad, which is just... Are you kidding me? Stop. I saw on a TikTok, somebody pointed out, the difference between both of them trying to get a response out of the supposed dead is daunting. Sonic panics while Shadow asks, Maria? He's unexperienced with death, unlike Longclaw to Sonic. People were like, oh, did you just stab me? You are like Papa. People are so funny and so, why do you hurt me this way? There's also a sort of similarity in them running around in circles when they're frustrated. Like in the first movie when Sonic is like dealing with his sorrow of being utterly alone and him craving relationships, he runs around the bases, which causes a massive energy blast. Same thing happens similarly with Shadow, where he's running around the Eclipse Cannon charging it, and while he's doing that, he's reminiscing on his grief and his anger having lost Maria. The one thing I was worried about with this movie was I wasn't sure how they were going to do the scene where Shadow reevaluates the choices that he's done and realizes that like this is not what Maria would have wanted for him, because in Sonic Adventure 2, Amy is the one that has this conversation with him, and that makes him realize, oh my god, Maria! Explosion in the background. But obviously at this point in time, Amy is not a character within the Sonic movie franchise. So I was just like, oh, how are they gonna do this? It better not be with Tom. I don't need another Christopher Thorndike situation on my hands right now. But they went with Sonic, which I loved and I think worked really well, because Sonic is so different from Shadow in the sense that like Sonic's pain is not something that was like thinking about all the time. Like it's something that Sonic deals with, but because of the personality that Sonic has, he's always moving forward. The moment on the moon and even the fight prior, that fight was so dope, by the way. Oh my god. I was like, this is peak. Honestly, I could just say Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was peak and that would be the end of the video. That's it. That's all there is to say. Some other fun things that I really liked in the movie that just was like, oh my god, the fact that the reason why Shadow, he has these air shoes and he always is like skating on them, and the way that they have him skate is like in a roller skating manner, because that's how Maria would get around the Ark, is she would roller skate and they would roller skate together. Like honestly, the Maria and Shadow montage broke me. I was like, this is so, I didn't realize, like please don't, oh my god, my Shayla. I'm gonna miss TikTok. What am I supposed to do in July when the Superman movie comes out? How am I supposed to see those edits? Like what am I supposed to do? Psych! It was really clear that Jim Carrey had so much fun in this movie, like the freak that he is. Oh my god. One of the major differences was they brought Gerald Robotnik in this, and Gerald worked with Ivo alongside in this movie. And there's so many just wackadoo scenes with the two of them. I can't even be upset because I'm just like, I don't know what's happening here, but this is, yeah. By the end of it, I did feel bad for Robotnik. Some of the stuff that like Gerald, I can't say that. Gerald Robotnik. The core themes of the Sonic movies is community and family and finding your people. And it's clear in this movie how Ivo also wanted a family. Because like that's sort of the basis that like him and Sonic have, is how they didn't have like a family growing up. Because Ivo was an orphan apparently. And so when he finally has his grandfather literally looks at him and is like, "You're no Maria." Hey, that's actually crazy. Why would you say that?
Unsubscribed, blocked, and reported.
I think one of my favorite things throughout the movie is Eggman and Agent Stone's relationship, because it's like, are they coworkers? Are they friends? Or are they some secret third thing? Obviously, the answer is number 3. What are you talking about? That's why it makes it so sad at the very end, because it's like, it's a very full circle moment for Eggman, because I was just rewatching the first 2 movies, and even if Eggman doesn't admit it, you can see with Eggman's actions how highly he's always thought of Stone. When he gets trapped in the Mushroom Planet, who does he have with him? It's Agent Stone. First person he comes back to is Agent Stone. In Sonic 3, he's like crashing out and he's just like not living his best life. Agent Stone's looking out for him. And honestly, I love it. I feel it's so iconic. And literally, Ivo only saved the world because Agent Stone was on it. I also really love Knuckles. Often gets treated as like the dumb, like strong dude, which I find to be very annoying, but they've sort of been treating Knuckles with more care and treating him like he's an actual intelligent being, which he is. I think he's so excellent in this movie, especially when Sonic crashes out and he wants to use the Master Emerald to go supersonic, and Knuckles is like, no, and like he stands his ground. I think that was a really brilliant moment, and I really love that we got to see that moment, that little tension between Sonic and Knuckles, and then we see Tails, who's trying to keep the peace. Ugh, it's so good. Again, to reiterate, I think one of my favorite moments throughout the movie was the touching moment between Sonic and Shadow on the moon, and especially when Sonic has this moment of like clarity when he's fighting Shadow, and it looks like Shadow's just ready to give up, and that's why he's not, because like we know Shadow could have easily taken Sonic, but I feel like he was just so tired, he just wanted to like really end it, because to him it's like Sonic does have the right to take revenge because I hurt his family and whatever. And then Sonic realized like the moment where Shadow like pointed to his heart, he remembered what Tom told him, and like, as long as you listen to your heart, you're gonna make the right choice when it counts, and he made the right choice. And it's this moment that has Shadow like reconsider everything and like really think back to his time with Maria, and how Sonic is able to tell him like, it's the love that you have with Maria is the thing that you need to hold on to, not these feelings of hate and anger, because that's not going to give you the satisfaction that you need to move forward in life. And I don't know, I loved it. I thought it was really cute, and it was a great callback to when Shadow was with Maria in the fields, and Maria was telling him, you can be whatever you want to be, because the biggest thing that Shadow has to deal with is his biggest fear is like, he doesn't know what he is, and he expresses this to Maria, because like, imagine you're being born, you're in a world, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you are, and everyone around you is terrified of you. They think that you're some scary little thing, and you don't know why people think this way about you, because you know you wouldn't harm these people. You don't know why they think that you would harm them, so you think maybe there's something wrong with me, and then comes along your first and only friend who says there's nothing wrong with you, you're perfectly fine. And then I thought it was devastating, because in the original work, Maria gets shot by a gun. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. It's what's funny is how the internet was like, I'm so excited to see that 12-year-old get shot, because it's like, but not because it's like, like, you know, you understand context. But instead, what they did in Sonic 3 was that gun does shoot at them, but at the last second, it gets redirected and it shoots these canisters that are full of chaos energy that are from Shadow. What they've been doing is they've been harnessing Shadow's power into a tangible form, and this causes the canister explode, which ultimately kills Maria. So in a sense, Shadow could have been thinking about how she's gone in the back of his mind, but it wouldn't have happened if gun had shot at them, blah, 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 and just... I don't even know what I'm talking anymore, but I just love this movie. It's just so good. It's fun. The way that the movie ends is similar to Sonic Adventure 2, where Shadow sacrifices himself to get the Eclipse Cannon out of the way, and in such, it explodes into sort of this, like, nebula thing or whatever. I don't know. It's really pretty to look at, and everyone thinks that Shadow's dead, which apparently some people thought, too, after seeing the movie, but it's like, no, he's not. At the very, very end of the movie, we see Shadow picking up his inhibitor ring, which confirms, like, how it ends in the game. I think he just lost his memory for, like, a little bit. He's just experiencing a little amnesia. That's all. But the very end of the movie, girl, when I tell you I screamed, you better know this, but I'm gonna just tell you why anyways. Sonic actually runs all the way to New York and encounters Metal Sonic, which is like, oh my god, that's so dope. But it's a lot of Metal Sonics, and Sonic's like a little overwhelmed. And all of a sudden, this like blast of energy comes, and at first I thought it was Shadow, because I'm like, oh, that gold metal material looks familiar. Then I saw more of it. Then I realized, oh my god, that's a hammer. I recognized that hammer and I was like, there's no way. There's no way. It's Amy! Ah! When I tell you I've prayed for times like this, you don't understand. I'm so excited for Sonic 4. I am so ready for it. I think that they confirmed it. I want it so bad. And if they can get Jim Carrey to play Eggman again, that would be a win. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, because honestly, it was a miracle we got him for like the past 2 movies, because apparently Jim Carrey doesn't do sequels. Like, I love the fact that they kill off Eggman every time simply because they don't know if they're gonna get Jim Carrey in the next movie. I'm excited for Sonic 4. My theory is that whole space explosion thing opened up a portal between Sonic's world and our world. So that's why Amy's here, and that's why Metal Sonic's here. Like, maybe Iroh was making some stuff while he was over there, and there's like a time space dilation issue thing. And then, if you remember, because my sister was asking, she's like, where'd the Chaos Emeralds go? And I'm like, oh yeah, where did they go? And then I realized, oh, Shadow probably still had them because they were trying to push back the Eclipse cannon, but it was too much for Sonic, so he sort of crash plummeted to Earth. But Shadow kept going. So I'm wondering, when the thing exploded, did the Chaos Emeralds get sent around the world, which is so canonical for the Chaos Emeralds. They hate being together in one place for a long time. I'm wondering if Sonic 4 will consist of them trying to get the Chaos Emeralds back for something, and then we get Rouge, we get Amy, and it's like, oh my god. And then, how much you want to bet at the end of Sonic 4, we get an end credit and enter Silver, and then, oh, would you look at that, Sonic 5 is based off of Sonic 06. I'm crazy, I know. In any case, I really love this movie. I think it was so fun. It was definitely one of my favorite ways to end 2024. I was very excited to see the movie, if you couldn't clearly tell. I'm so happy that I had a great time, because Sonic the Hedgehog is one of my favorite properties. The Sonic movie franchise, they're doing a really incredible job, and I want them to continue to do a better job. Like, I would watch every Sonic movie they come out. They're gonna be like, this, are you freaking kidding me? All that to say, I really enjoyed Sonic 3, and I just wanted to like categorize this moment here. A lot of video game adaptations don't usually work out well, but I fear with Sonic, they have figured it out, and I hope they don't ever change it, because I'm having a great time. So yeah, Sonic 3 is great. I absolutely loved it. Until next time, my dream believers and adventure seekers. Bye!